Hello, Wendy Wagner here again with the beginning of our inquiry around the ego. What is the ego and how do you deal with it, basically? And why is this important? It's important because the ego is the single most powerful device, if you will, part of our personality that inhibits us from enlightenment or from becoming the limitless human we were designed to be. Once again, we were created as equals to all the great teachers in history, from Christ to Muhammad to you name it. We are equals to that. Now, I want to begin with a metaphor, the metaphor of the Garden of Eden, to help us understand the fundamental idea that is at the base of the ego. It's incredibly important to understand this. All right, so I'm going to begin with the Garden of Eden myth. All right, so in the new version, the 180-degree flip version, the Garden of Eden is a present tense situation. It is not past. It is not way in history. It is going on right now. The truth of the situation in our lives is that the Garden of Eden represents a state of mind in which nothing is needed. We have everything we could possibly want. That's what the garden represents. We have all the food, everything we need. Now, what the serpent, so to speak, is actually whispering to all of us in the present moment is this. And the serpent is the ego. And this is a lie. You are lacking something. You're in the garden, you have everything, but this little voice inside is going, but wait a minute, I don't have da-da-da or da-da-da, and I need that. And so in the one idea that there's something missing, we're lacking something, then comes the idea that we should go out there and get it. To go out there and get it is to leave the garden, by definition. And the concept of lack is the driver of the ego. Now you can see what gets born of this idea: fear. If I am lacking something I can't handle, there's going to be other things that are more powerful than me, and therefore, fear is born. Oh my God, what's going to happen if I'm not protected, if I don't have all the equipment I need, if I don't have all the brains I need, if I don't have, all the money I need, if I don't have the opulent house that I need, then what's going to happen to me? And we get full of fear. All right. So the biggest polarity we have on the planet today is the difference between love and fear. Unity consciousness and separation consciousness. In separation consciousness, fear is born because anything can hurt you then, right? So there are two basic energies on this earth. One is expansion and one is contraction. Obviously, the ego is contraction. And its remedy, of course, is love and is expansion, but we'll get into that in far more detail later on. The entire material plane is built on the idea of lack. And if you begin to really look at it, you will see that this is true. Very, very clear. All the advertising, all our youthful programming, all school, everything is built on the notion, the illusion, there's something you're lacking and you need to go out there and get it. And of course, all of our merchandising and all of that is geared towards that part of us which feels we are lacking. Now, how does this affect a typical society? Well, as I mentioned before, look at child rearing practices. A lot of us focus on what's lacking in a child. We guilt trip children, and we tell them they've been bad and wrong and whack them on the tail to punish them, or we send them to their room, or we take away this or take away that. So in our consciousness, deep in every single cell, pre-verbally gets really ingrained that if we do something bad, we will get punished. And as we're going to see much further in this inquiry, that is the birth, the origin of illness, which is we attract our own punishment, if you will. Big concept, big 180-degree flip, and needs quite a bit of explanation, but it's really potent and really true. Don Juan, in his amazing In Castaneda's series of books, Don Juan was a Mexican sorcerer. So from a very different perspective than what I have traditionally studied, he says we were only meant to come to this earth to have experiences, just to experience Earth and all its amazing dichotomies and polarities and changes and differences. But instead of having experiences, we judge our experiences. And what a difference if you have experiences and don't judge them. It's gigantic. So here we have one of the first remedies right off the bat with how to deal with the ego is to begin to give up judgment entirely. There's discernment and there's judgment, and I'll begin to talk about what's the difference. But as soon as we evaluate any experience we're having into good and bad, we begin to touch the ego, and the ego will begin to judge us and tell us we've been bad and wrong, or we've been incredibly good, and neither one is really, really appropriate. So society also very much from very early in our youth begins to set up the better than, less than situation. And if you look at schools, oh God, it's terrifying, really. You get a grade to tell you exactly how less than you are if you're not the top of the class. So this feeling of lack and I am lacking something is fundamental to childhood and to schooling. Our entire school is based on showing us where our lacks are and grading us with the rest of the class. Comparison is very much of the ego. Think about it. If we're in unity consciousness, where is comparison? There is no comparison. We're all equal. But schools, the military, jobs, all of them are based on better than, less than. And all of that is based on the fundamental idea of that we're lacking something. And all of society wants to go, yeah, you are. You definitely are. And here's all the ways. And none of it's true. And none of it's right. So as we proceed, then now watching where lack operates in your own mind, being incredibly, incredibly watchful for this, because it is highly destructive. You will note that as soon as you start really thinking about what you're lacking in life, you will get depressed immediately, or you'll get anxious, or you'll start going, oh, I've got to really work hard and accomplish a great deal to make up for the lack. So those are the two ways we can go. We can get completely annihilated by the sensation and feel like we're just incredibly lowly beings. Or, like many of our politicians today, we can get highly inflated, which is also part of the ego. We have certain politicians right now who think that they are the best, that they are way above judgment and the rules and the laws of other humans. And they can therefore have far more money, far more things. And that's also part of the ego, which is, it is not unity, that's for sure. So the first part of the remedy is noticing where you see lack, and you're focusing on lack and you're thinking about lack, and you want to pull your mind away from those thoughts as quickly as you can. They serve you not at all. They take you out of the garden. And there's actually more on this, and it will become clearer as we go forward. And I want to thank you for listening to this section, and we will move on to our next section. And thank you for listening.